guys, and welcome to Grit. In today's video we're going to go over how to make this really cute and adorable mama whale. So this is a companion video to my baby whale video, which is my most viewed video on my channel. This is going to be the mama version of it essentially, so it's like 5 times the size of the baby whale. They're really cute. I really like this. This pattern is one of my for sale patterns on my Ravelry. My baby whale is for free on my Ravelry, so go ahead and go over there if you want to take a look at that one for free. But this one you're going to be able to do by just watching this video. I'm going to have all of the pattern and all the charts and all that stuff in this video, so if you're interested in that, stay tuned and let's get started. For this pattern, you're going to need some worsted weight yarn. I'm using Heartland and I'm using Party. So this one is Heartland. I balled these because it's easier. Lion Brand yarn, Heartland. This is what I have. I am not able to go out to the yarn store right now because we're under quarantine and all that stuff. So I'm working with what I have. Usually I'd use just a plain white, but this is what I've got. This is Heartland Lion Brand yarns. This is a size 4 or worsted weight yarn. I really like how variegated this is and how pretty it is. So I'm going to do this pretty blue color because I think that's a really pretty color for a whale as well. And I'm also using the Caron Simply Soft Party. This is also a worsted weight yarn. One thing that I will say is when you're picking out your yarns, make sure that you pick out yarn that is essentially the same width. The way that you can almost guarantee this is if you get the same brand and the same type. But sometimes if you know your yarn well enough, you know how they interact, you can do 2 separate brands. This is a side rant. One thing that I noticed that even though it does say size 4, that doesn't mean every single yarn can go with every other yarn that is a size 4. Sometimes the widths are a little bit different and they look weird if you crochet them together. I've done it with this yarn before, so this looks pretty good and they go well together. So just make sure that you are aware of that. If you use 2 separate brands, they can look a little wonky and weird together unless you know otherwise, essentially. I would do a little tiny whale first to see if that yarn looks weird together if you're using 2 separate ones before you do a big project like this. Bigger project. It's not that huge of a project. Alright, so I have a white for the underbelly and I have the top color, whatever you want the top color to be. You will need a darning needle. You will also need a size D3 or 3.25 millimeter crochet hook. I'm also using some fluff. I use a bunch for this, so just, be aware that you will need, I can't say the exact amount, but I have a good amount of fluff, and it's not a crazy amount. You'll need less than what you would need for like a pillow or anything like that. So getting one of those packages of fluff will be enough to make 1 or 2 of these. Probably more. Let's get started. You will also need scissors. I have these really cute ones that I got from Hobby Lobby and I love them and they're adorable, and I might put another pair of these in a giveaway. So, comment down below if you're interested in doing I'm thinking about, instead of doing a Baby Yoda for a giveaway, I was thinking about doing a big yarn kit that has a lot of really good things for beginners, so I might do that. Let me know down below what you guys think of it. Alright, so let's get started with this crochet with me. In order to start with this, you're going to need to know how to work in the round, single crochet, and to do increasing and decreasing. I go over these more in depth on I'm going to put down playlist down below, specifically on these things if you're confused about any of them, but I definitely go over them more with my baby whale video and my narwhal video. My narwhal video is a much better updated version than the base baby whale video. I'll link both of those down below, so just stay tuned for that. Alright. To start this, you're going to do a slip knot. I make a nice long tail just because I use my tail as my stitch marker. So if I have a nice long tail, I can keep track of it better that way. You're going to place your hook in there and you're going to chain 2. This is how I do my magic ring. I chain 2, 1, 2, and instead of going into the second hook, the second chain from my hook, I'm going to go into the very first chain that I created, and I'm going to place 6 single crochet inside of that. This is going to start our work in the round, and this is our first row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You'll notice that there's a giant hole in the center. That's okay. You're going to take our tail and we're going to pull that nice and tight, and that'll close that right up. So now we're going to go into the very first single crochet that we made. We're going to keep our yarn nice and taut, so we're going to keep it so that the tension is fairly strong. We're going to go into our very first chain here, and our goal with creating this amigurumi is the very base is you're going to keep increasing until you get it to the size that you want it to be width-wise. So I'm going to increase this 6 stitches every single round until we're at 60 stitches. So we are at currently 6 stitches. We're going to increase every single stitch to 12. Then we're going to increase single crochet 1, increase to 18, single crochet 2, increase to 24, and so on and so forth. It does that same method until we get to 60. I'm also very chatty, and I acknowledge that, but I try to explain things that way, and I find that some people enjoy it. Some people don't, but that's why we have a pattern, and that's why we have a PDF on our Ravelry for people that don't want to hear me talk. So go there if you don't like the chitter chatter. Alright, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to put 2 stitches inside that same stitch. That first single crochet that we made, we now have 2 single crochet inside that one. So 1, 2 inside that single stitch. You'll notice that it looks like it's got a little bit of a hole in it. Now we're going to go into the second stitch and do the exact same thing. So single crochet 1, go back inside that same stitch, single crochet again. So that's 2, 1, 2. We're going to do this until we have 12 stitches, and this is round 2, by the way. 1, 2, do this again, 3, well, this is 7, 8, excuse me, 9, and then 10, 11 into the last stitch, and then 12. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 stitches, and we are now going on to round 3. I'm going to take my tail and I'm going to go put it inside. I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to put it inside that center of that stitch. I'm going to take my tail, I'm going to pull that through, and this will mark the beginning of my round. I kind of just let the tail dangle there. Try not to let it get too confusing and too in the way. We are now going to single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, increase all the way around. So 1, increase, so putting 2 inside that next stitch, 1, increase, so putting 2 inside that next stitch. We are now up to 14 stitches, 1, increase, 15, 1, increase, 16, 1, increase, eek, pull my yarn a little bit, and finally our last increase, which will be right here. We're going to go inside here, we're going to pull out our tail from where it was, and we're going to adjust it so that it is now on the 18th right here. So now we have 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I always like to count at the end of every row just to make sure that I'm doing it the way that I'm not missing something. I'd rather double check and just be foolishly double checking than not double check and then have to go back on my work a bunch. It really is annoying when I have to do that. So now that we've gotten to 18 stitches, we're going to go to 24 stitches. I'm probably going to do this only up until the 30th increase, and then I'll show you how I do my last increase row, which is every 9th stitch. But needless, because it's repetitive just seeing me go across all of them when really you're just increasing 6 stitches each round. So 1, 2, and now that because we're making an extra space between each increase by doing those increases. And now we're going to go into our 3rd stitch right here, and we're going to increase 3, and then inside the same stitch 4, which gets us to our 24 essentially, if we do it the entire way around. So 1, 2, 3, increase the 3rd, 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, and then increase. We're going to take or pull our yarn out a little bit so that we don't lose it again, and move our stitch marker. So pull that out where it was and put it into the 24th stitch now. You can see how this blows up over time and it gets so big. And we're going to keep doing this until we reach 60 stitches. We are at 24 now. We're going to keep doing that. So now we're going to single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, and then increase that same stitch. 1, 2, there we go. 3, 4, and then increase. 1, 2. I don't miss out my yarn. There we go. Pull the yarn out a little bit. 3, 4, and then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase. And now we're going on to our last increase of this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase. So now we're going to take our tail and move it again. We are now on our, we have 30 stitches right here. I'm going to keep up track up here. So I'm not keeping track of actually what row I'm on right exactly the second, but I'm going to post it right up here. We are at 30 stitches right now, so now we're going to go from 30 stitches to 36. Alright, so now we're going to single crochet 5 and increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 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 1. Last one. Oh, oops. I skipped my tail right there. Alright, so we're going to take our tail and we're going to put through there. We were on our last stitch there. So now we are going to increase every 6th, then every 7th, then every 8th, and then every 9th. So I'm going to keep going around because I feel like that's a bit more than I should show on camera. So we're going to show you the very last increase round, and then I'll show you what I do after that. I essentially just single crochet around for 12 rounds. So I'll just let you see that as soon as I get to my final increase round. Be right back. Okay, so now we have gone all the way around, and got into our last row 10. So we are now going to single crochet 9, and on that 9th stitch we're going to increase. So basically single crochet 8, and on that 9th stitch we're going to turn that into a 10, if that makes sense. I hope so. Alright, so now we're going to single crochet 1, not split our yarn, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and on this 9th stitch right here, we're going to go in for this first, we're going to increase, and then we're going to go in again the same stitch and make that an increase. So we have 10 stitches on this one side essentially. We're essentially creating a hexagon, which will then turn into a round shape essentially. I feel like I'm saying essentially a lot, but you know, just go with it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now on the 9th stitch we're going to increase 9 and then 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and increase that same stitch, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and now we're going to go 9 and then increase that same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. And now we're on our last increase, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Same stitch, going twice. We're going to take our tail, we're going to move our stitch marker onto that, and now that you have all of your increases done, you've done all 10 rounds of your increasing rounds, we are going to single crochet around for 12 rounds. And then I'm going to show you how I do my tail, and then I kind of cast off after the tail. I make the tail as a part of my blue part, that way it's all just one fluid motion. You don't have to do that many tails included. I'll show you what I mean by that. But first, you just go around for 12 rounds, and I'll show you what that looks like right after I'm done. Be right back. Alright, so now we've gone around 12 times after our increasing round, and what I like to do now is I'm going to do my tail. So the way that I do my tail is I do it as a part of essentially round 13 of going around. So this would be round 23. I'm going to pop it up there. But I start going into the stitches of the first 2 stitches of round 23. So the way that I go about this is I'm on my last stitch. I haven't gone into anything yet. I'm going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm also going to plop over a nice little chart of how the tail looks like in my own chart form. What I do next is I'm going to skip the first 2 chains. I'm going to go into the 3rd chain right in the center. I'm going to double crochet not half double crochet, I'm going to double crochet into that third chain right there, and then I'm going to proceed on as normal with the rest of the chains. I'm not going to skip any others. I'm going to go into the next chain with a half double crochet, so that I'm going to go through and go like that. So instead of going through and going through, I go through all three of them at the same time. And then in the very last, or the very first chain that you created right there, you're going to single crochet 1. We are at the very end here, and we're going to now slip stitch into the very first stitch from the round 23. So I'm going to slip stitch into our next stitch right here. I'm going to keep it nice and loose, and I'm going to chain 5 once more. We're going to repeat that exact same thing over again. So 3, 4, wow, why did my yarn do that? Okay, so that's fun. Don't like that it did that. I'm going to work around the fact that my yarn's really wonky looking here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're going to double crochet inside the third middle stitch right here, making sure that you still have your 2 stitches in front of you right here and here. Oh, I don't like how that looks. Hold on. So that's a problem, and I'm actually going to fix that right now by doing a quick little knot. I'd rather deal with the knot than deal with the fuzziness of it, because I can hide a knot inside of a stitch. I cannot hide that fuzziness inside of a stitch. So I'm just doing the magical knot method, where if I do this and I do that and I tie 2 pretzel knots and I pull it together like so, I'm just going to redo my entire tail right there. And then I can cut my tail really short. I'm going to cut it a little bit more fine just because I know it'll be easier to hide. So now I've got a knot. I try to pull it as tight as I can just to make it so that it's a little bit, I also try to squish it a little bit to keep it, try to flatten it out a little bit. Alright. Alright, we're going to go back. I went back a couple stitches and I should have. So single crochet 1, 2. Alright, we're back at the very end of our round 22. We are going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Things got in the way. We're going to double crochet into the third stitch by going through 1 and 2, both stitches, and now we're going to half double crochet, and now we're going to single crochet, single crochet inside the last one. Alright, now we're back to where we were. We slip stitched into there. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to skip these first 2 chains here, and we're going to double crochet into the third middle stitch, and then we're going to half double crochet into the stitch after that, and we're going to single crochet inside the very last one. So the same thing on both sides, essentially. There we go. And now my knot is inside of my tail, like so, and we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch after the first one. So we're only going into the first 2 stitches there. We're going to cut our tail and pull it out. I like to hide my tail by going through the stitch like so and pulling the tail through it, and that kind of hides it, and then I'll take my tail later and pull it through the work as soon as I'm stuffing. That's essentially how you do the tail. Alright, so I kind of just tucked away those tails, and I'm starting now on my white rows. This is how I make the tummy. This is technically the 23rd row, and the way that I'm going to go about this is I'm going to kind of pull my tail back a little bit here. You'll see where the you're going to put your hook right underneath where your first stitch would have been had you gone through it instead of going through the instead of slip stitching into the tail. So you're going to go behind and pick up the stitch from behind there. We're going to slip our white yarn in and create a chain. We're going to skip here, and we're going to go into the very back stitch. So on your stitches, you've got the front loop on this side and you've got the back loop on this side. It's a little V formation. Instead of going through the front loop, we are going to go through just the back loop, like so. And we're going to single crochet around for one round. So see how that's creating a nice ridge of these front rows? Front stitches, I guess? Yeah, front stitches creates this row effect that makes it look kind of like a, I don't know, I just like how it looks better, and I like adding behind the tail because it makes it so that you can't see where your seam is. So that's why I do it that way. We are going to single crochet around the entire way around, going through just the back stitch. And I'm going to do that all the way until I get back to our first chain here, and I'll show you how I join and do my decreasing rounds after that. And after I'm finished with this row, I'm probably going to show you how I add the eyes. I'll be right back. Alright, so now we are going to go into our 58th and 59th stitch right here up to the tail. 58 and then 59 is this one stitch right here right next to the tail, but not before you get to it. And now our 60th stitch is the one, so the very exact same spot that you went into originally where the chain is right here. I'm going to go inside. It's a little bit tight. There we go. I'm going to single crochet once inside that. I'm going to skip that chain, and I'm going to start my decreasing rounds. This is going to be my first single crochet from before. So I single crocheted right in there. I am now going into the very first part of my decreasing rounds. And the way that I do decreasing for my amigurumi is I'm going to essentially do the inverse of what I did earlier. So I'm going to post the pattern right up here, and for the decreasing rounds I'm going to single crochet 8, decrease. So I'm going to take the 9th and the 10th stitch, and I'm going to single crochet them together. I'll show you how I do that in just a second. I just realized that I should probably do the eyes first. So the way that I do the eyes, I'm a little bit all over the place, is I try to make it so that my tail is centered along the back. I flatten it, I make it so that my tail is centered. I take my crochet hook and I kind of, nope, not in any kind of serious way, just to show a marker. This is my center, and I show it through the front here. And from centered, from here, I go about 5 stitches out, and that's where I put, 6 stitches out, and that's where I put my eyes. Wherever you want to put your eyes, that's where you put them, but I like doing it about 6 stitches out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and right above that 6th stitch, I'm going to take my eye, and I'm going to work them in slowly. I am using safety eyes, so I'm going to plop that right there. Before I put the backs on, I like to double check and look and see if that's what I want. Oh, excuse me, I need to go over one more. See, that's why we don't put on back before we see what it looks like. That's 6, there we go. I like to have it so that there's 6 stitches showing before my eye gets popped in. So again, we're going to do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to plop our eye in right there. There we go. I always have a hard time trying to get it through the back because sometimes the yarn likes to catch. Alright, so we're going to plop our eye up there. I'm going to kind of push it upward so I can still get through it. I'm going to take my crochet hook out. I don't need that as a marker anymore. And I'm going to just kind of see how I think he looks, whether or not I think it is even across the sides. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Right about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So they are about equidistant on either side. They look like they're even. I always like to just count, make sure. If you want to have so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. They're about 12 stitches apart after you've put the eyes in. The stitches will be covered up a little bit on either side with your eyeballs, depending on how big of an eye you get. I'm using 20mm safety eyes, so I'm going to put my backs on it real quick so that they are on there and I don't have to think about it anymore. And now I'm going to finish off with my decreasing. You can wait until you've decreased a couple rounds, but I figured this would be a good middle point before I go into decreasing too much, and I can show you what that looks like. Alright, we're going to put our tail out of the way. This one needs to just go away, honestly. But I am 1 stitch into my decreasing round, so in order to decrease, I'm going to single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I split my yarn. 8, but not too bad. And now that I've single crocheted 8 into my first decrease round, I'm going to go through the first stitch. I love decreasing this way. I'm going to go through my 9th stitch, and I'm going to go into my 10th stitch as well. I'm going through both of them, so I'll show you how I did that again. This is the 9th. I'm going to go back in and loop, so there's 2 loops underneath my hook right here. 9 and 10, I'm going to single crochet like that, like it's normal. So I would just go through both stitches and then I single crochet like normal, and that creates an invisible decrease. So I'll show that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10 together. 1, oh, and here comes the eye, so it's going to be a little in the way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are knotted. 8, 9, and 10 together. 1. As I drop my yarn. Don't want to split it too. Apparently I am just doing all the splitting and the dropping. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're going to take 9 and 10 together. And this is our last decrease coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hold your tail, 8, and now 9 and 10. Might be a little tight on that first one because it's near where the chaining was. 9 and 10 together. That was row 23, 24. We just finished with 24, and now we are going on to row 25. So we are going to single crochet 7 and then decrease 8 and 9 together. So I'll show you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 together. And now we're on our last decrease for round 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 and 9 together. So what I do usually around this point is I can take my tail from earlier and pull it through that last stitch to keep track of it, but honestly I don't really find a need to, because I've got the tail right there and that kind of keeps track of where my rows started and ended. But if you're having a hard time keeping track of the exact stitch, you can take your tail and pull through at the very end of all your rows. I'm going to show you how I do each round and then go around instead of making you watch me do that every single time, because that will literally take an extra half hour onto this video, and I don't think people really care about that. So the next round is 26. We are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to take 7 and 8 and decrease them together. 7 and 8, I just got back to my tail after going around for single crochet 6 and decrease. Alright, so I'm taking my tail and I'm moving it along, and we are now going on to single crochet 5 decrease, which is round 26, 23, 24, 25, 26, there we go. I can keep track, and if I'm not keeping track, then, you know, it's up here on the doobly dooble. Does that make sense? Alright, so single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 go together, like so. I'm going to do that all the way around. Alright, I just got to the end of round 26, 23, 24, 25, 26. We are going to take our tail out. Oh wait, are we at 27? Keep track of it on my little guy here. Oh, excuse me, I was on row 27. I have it all up here, so even if my dumb mouth is saying things that are not right, I will have it correct in post, because that's where I keep track of all the numbers, is by actually seeing it all visually in one place. Otherwise I'm just an idiot. So we are going on to round 28, and we are going to single crochet 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to take 5 and 6 and put them together. I'm going to do that until the very end. 1. Alright, we are taking our tail and moving it along. Notice that when you decrease, it actually kind of goes crooked this way, so it might actually help a lot of people if you do use your tail as a stitch marker, or use a stitch marker of any other kind if you gotta keep one. I got this really cute logo pin that I'm thinking about turning it into a stitch marker, like taking off the backing of it, from Knit Crate. I love that. It's so cute. And I actually need to get my Knit Crate video up and about for the next 3 months. I've been really bad about it, but I haven't opened them, so I might just do a big bulk video of that. Side rant over. Alright, so next up is round 29? 29, yep. So I'm going to single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3. And then put 4 and 5. 4 and 5. There we go, stop splitting the yarn. Together. After this round, I'm actually going to do a lot of stuffing. So I'm going to stuff after this, and the way that I stuff is 2, 3. I'll explain as soon as I get to the end of this. Alright, so now that we are done with our decreasing rounds up to round 29, I was an idiot and put 39 on there, so I think that's why I'm getting all kinds of messed up. It'll be corrected in post, and you'll all be able to see what they are and screenshot it and all that. We are at about 2 inches wide-ish, about 1.5 inches, and what I do is I have this giant 10-pound thing of fluff, and I adore it. I take big clumps of fluff and I start putting it towards the edges. So big clumps, not like compacted or anything. I start putting it towards the edges. I start putting it around the eyes. I just start pluffing it in there and calling it good. So I try to put it around the eyes first because that's where I tend to forget to put fluff otherwise. I also take my tail and kind of pull it out so that it doesn't get, I won't lose work that way. I literally have it pulled out like really far so that I don't want to risk, I hate decreasing, so I don't want to risk undoing that. So I just keep putting fluff in and in and in. I cup it towards the sides first. That way it's less lumpy, I find, as I'm putting fluff in. So if I take it and I don't bunch it up really hard, and then I like take it so that it's like just loose, and try not to get it into my tea, as you know. So one's apt to do. Me, mostly. I'm likely to do that. I'm gonna keep going. Pushing it into the sides. I keep cupping my sides as much as I can when it comes to the fluff. Especially the top. I'll try to push it into the top too. I'm missing a bunch right there. And this will take me literally forever to stuff. So I'm going to go continue stuffing off camera, and I'll show you what it looks like as soon as I get to the point where I'm working on round 30. Be right back. Alright, so I have stuffed substantially. We are now on our final rounds. We are now going to decrease. So I've got fluff everywhere. You can always take one of those lint rollers and roll it on it afterwards. I cut the tail here after feeding it into the rest of my work. We are going to single crochet 2 now. This is actually single crochet 2 together. Things start getting kind of pushed and widened as you go across, so we're going to start here. There we go, going through there. I try really hard to keep my yarn taut so that it matches the rest of it. 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. It's white, so it's hard to see. 3 and 4 are crocheted together. We're going to keep going until I get to the end, and I'll show you what I do there. I try to stuff as I go. As you can see, like, there's still tons and tons of room to stuff. If you feel like you stuffed, you have not stuffed enough. Ever. It's just always looking for more. Alright, be right back. We are now on the second from last round. We are at 18 stitches, and we're going to decrease that 18 down to 12. I keep going as I go along. We're going to single crochet 1 and then decrease. And I'll show you how I do a seamless finish off in just a second. So, single crochet 1, decrease. It's harder to keep this on camera as it actually starts getting bigger. So 1, decrease. 1, decrease. Starts getting closed up real quick. 1, decrease. I just made some tea and it smells really good. 1. Come on, there we go. Decrease. And then 1. This is the last decrease for this second to last round. Decrease. Now we have 12 stitches. Pull that out a little bit, make sure that all my stuffing is done how I want it to be done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches. And now we're going to finish off our stuffing, whatever we think we would like it to look like on the bottom here. I try not to over stuff, but honestly, like, that's really hard to do. You'll always find a spot where you could have stuffed more. I struggle with stuffing. It is my least favorite part of amigurumi, honestly. Because this is not one of those things, like, I can crochet fairly well, but stuffing, I still feel like there's no real rhyme or reason. If that makes any sense. Like, there's no specific way to do it so that you know that you're doing it right. That's my main complaint of it. Apparently this will just all of the fluff in the world. There we go. Try to tuck it underneath so that it's not hard and impossible to crochet around that. It needs to be a little. There we are. Trying to make it so it's flat, like so. And now we're going to decrease, this is our last decrease round, every single stitch. There's no skipping any of them. We're going to literally just take our hook and go in every single one of these, if I can actually fit into it. It starts getting really tight around here. And just decrease every single stitch. I'll show you what I do when we have, you should have, well, if we go from 12 down to 6, we'll still have 6 left live stitches. So I'll show you what we do to make this look seamless and finish it off. One, two, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is the last decrease. In and in. Alright, we've decreased our last decrease. We are going to take our darning needle, pop them over here. We're going to take our scissors and create a nice 6-inch tail. Put you over there. We're going to take our hook and just kind of pull it out like so. We'll take the loop, just pull. And now I take my darning needle, I string my string along it, and now we are going to go inside, from the inside into the front. So going back, going outward, I guess, like so. And do that for all 6 stitches. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are going to take our yarn and pull nice and tight, and then we're going to feed it through the center. So we took our hook, our needle, and pushed it right through. I'm just going to push it as far out as I can, and now we have a seamless bottom there. Next up, fins. I'm going to cut these tails off first. Alrighty, so we finished our body, and now we're going on to fins. We are returning back to our main color, which is this teal color that I use in Heartland, and we're making 2 of these cute little tiny fins. They go right along the side of your whale, and it's a super easy pattern. All you do is make a ring. It's super fast, I promise you. I'm going to post the pattern right here. It's super easy, especially if you just do that. This is going to look like, oh wow, that was like really quick. We're going to do our slip knot. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to place 6 single crochet inside of our first chain. We're starting just like we were before. We're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull our tail so that it's nice and tight. And now we're going to take all of those 6 stitches and increase them to 12. So we're going to increase every single stitch. So go into the first one, 1, 2, into the next stitch, 3, 4, 5, 6. I count this way when I'm doing just small bits here. 7. Oh, come on. I made it really tight apparently. 7, 8, 9, 10, and the last increase is going to be 11 and 12. We're now just going to single crochet around for 2 rounds. Super easy. So that's 24 stitches. 1. If I can't stop splitting my yarn. 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, going on screen. Aha! Caught it. 12, and that is our first round around. And now we're going to go around again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's put my yarn. 9. There we go. 10, 11, and 12. What I do here is I take my hook, I go into the very first stitch of my next round, and I slip stitch it off. I'm going to create a nice decently long tail. I like long tails when I'm sewing just because I don't like dealing with having too short of a tail. I'd rather have too long of a tail than too short of a tail. I'm going to pull my hook like I do with all my other work and just pull it like that. I'm also going to cut my tail here, the one that's on the inside where I started, my beginning tail. I'm going to cut that short, like so. And something that I like to do when I'm sewing on my appendages is I'm going to put my hook inside the stitch underneath the slip stitch like that, and I'm going to pull my tail from the back into the front. I find that when I do that and I pull my tail a little bit, it makes it so that it looks a little neater on my corners. I don't know why I do that. That's not something that you absolutely have to do. I just find that I like how it looks better that way, and I'm explaining why I'm doing it that way. Alright, you're going to sew on your little arms, your appendage to your little dude. And what's nice about working through the back loop only is you've got this nice long ridge, and I like to center my little whale buddy here. I center my fin. I'm trying to get this to focus. And I'm going to take my darning needle. I'm going to go starting on the other side from the top of the stitch down to the bottom of the stitch. I'm going to pull that, and then I'm going to go in from the back into the front on the opposite side like so, all the way up. Oh, the fin. I'm going to keep doing that back and forth. I'm going to pull my tail every so often just to make sure that it doesn't look sloppy. Even tensioning, of course. Opposite, opposite. Eek. There we go. Opposite. Opposite. And then opposite. Opposite. And now I'm going to pull my tail, make sure that it is nice and even so you can't really see where the seam is anymore, and you're going to flip it. And we're going to put our little fin down there. We're going to put our darning needle underneath where the back loop only is. And we're going to go underneath like that, and then we're going to go back like we were up the top, from the top down. So I go through, excuse me, come on, the bottom stitch underneath the back loop only, on the underside. And I pull those through. If I could, there we go. And I'll keep doing that until I get to the end. Clip only. And now that we're on our final stitch there, we're going to pull our tails, make sure they're all even, and we're going to pull our darning needle through our work just to hide the tail. And that won't come off. I always like to kind of pull on it first, and then I'll take my tail, pull it a little bit, and then cut it right at the base, so that way it'll kind of, once you compress it, it'll go back to where it was. And that, once you get your other little whale arm on, is how you finish your whale. Alright, so I just sewed on the last of my little arms here. I've got my little tail, and I am pretty happy with how he turned out. If you are interested in the orca whale adaptation for both mama and baby, let me know. I can post a video on how I do the circles and what I do to adjust it so that it looks like an orca whale. It's super cute. I'm also going to be doing one for the shark because my shark video got a copyright strike on it, so I'm going to show how to do a mama and a baby version of that shark in an updated video. I'm going to do both of those. I'm thinking about also doing a crab and some other stuff. I'm going to be working on Kyo from Fruits Basket because season 2 is coming out, and I'm geeking out over that, and I'm really excited, and it's going to be a flat cat style. So stay tuned for all of that. I'm also going to be doing an updated version of my Luna Suspenders dress. I'm home in quarantine, so I'm just going to be pumping out videos, basically, is what I'm saying. So be sure to like and subscribe if you like videos like these, if you want to see stuff like this. I have an Instagram where I post everything that I do on a regular basis. Alright, until next time, guys. Bye!